Welcome to Global Risk Community Chat. Today we are joined by Eddie Tofpik. Welcome, Eddie, and I'm very pleased to have you here today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much indeed.
Likewise, I'm glad to hear that. So before we get into the topic, could you perhaps shortly introduce yourself to our community?
Yes, my name is Eddie Tofpik. I'm Head of Technical Analysis and Senior Markets Analyst at ADM Investor Services International Limited. It's the largest non-bank clearer in the world, and it's part of Archer Daniels Midland. The ADM Investor Services Group is the largest non-bank clearer in the world. I am also Director of the Society of Technical Analysts, which is a not-for-profit organization. It is one of the largest and definitely the oldest such society in the world, and it helps promote technical analysis and provides education and accreditation for people who are interested in technical analysis.
Well, nice to hear. So then could you perhaps shortly talk about what have you been up to lately, or anything that right now we are focusing on?
Well, I tend to focus on markets, and they tend to be either sort of normally a commodity, a currency, a stock index future, or a bond, something. And I just finished up a video which I made for our sister company in ADM, or a podcast I made and turned into a video for our sister company in America, ADM Investor Services Inc. And I was looking primarily at the energy products because there was a big technical pattern across crude oil, heating oil, gas oil, gasoline, and gas all across the 5 markets that they're there. I also looked at something on wheat because there was a similarity between what happened in Paris milling wheat and some of the American contracts. And those are the 2 things that really I look at the market and see what's going on and try and bring it to the attention of people to say, this is something you should be looking out for.
And has there been any trends you have noticed, something maybe people should be looking at, should be, aware of?
I think at the moment, there are 2, there's one word I would use for everything, which is indecision, which is that there is a lot of indecision in a lot of the products in the world, whether it be stock index futures or whether it be commodities. Yes, there's some trending going on, but a lot of it is basically going backwards and forwards over a number of days. One day is bullish, next day bearish, and that's overall intraday indecision. And I've noticed that specifically in some of the markets. I noticed it in some of the base metals markets. I think it was zinc. I think I saw it recently, where there was days where it was going backwards and forwards. One day bullish, then a big bearish pattern, and a bullish. And overall, the trend was still high, but there was a lot of undercurrents going on, and I'm very concerned about that, actually.
I see. So seeing that then there is that kind of an indecision, is there anything that anything important that you can or other people can focus on to at least, kind of balance it out or manage it?
I think the things you need to look at, for example, are the excessive moves up in freight futures, the freight indexes, because the price of shipping has gone up so high. There is the big move down we had in crude oil, followed by another big move up, and now the beginnings of another move down by the looks of it. It's just worrisome in that respect. And the slowdown in the acceleration of stock indexes, such as the S&P, the FTSE, the CAC, the DAX, they're sort of going up, but they're being sort of slow, and there seems to be a little bit of indecision trying to push any further higher, which we didn't see earlier in the year. So there's a little bit worrisome there. Those are the main areas I would look at to see if there's anything specific going on.
And perhaps because I hear a lot about crude oil or gas and all those as well, or shipping that you mentioned, anything about environmental concerns that you have perhaps perceived, or anything related to that as well, or?
Well, I think that the big it's not so concerned, but the big environmental thing which I'd like to see more about is hydrogen. It's that I know Rotterdam, the port, is looking at making a market for it, but there's no hedging futures market in hydrogen. I think that's something that the industry needs to look at, because at the moment it's fairly opaque and being able to look and say that's what's going on. The decarbonization that's going on at the moment, yes, we're seeing a lot of things. For example, the carbon markets are going all the way up because it's a lot of things that the economy is starting to move again internationally, and at the same time we're trying to get within rules which are being more and more onerous, which is rightly so, to try and cut down on climate change and also to decarbonize the economy.
Yeah. Okay, makes sense. I wasn't expecting that kind of an answer, because like you don't hear hydrogen that much yet, of course, as you also.
No, that's
yeah.
why I think
Yeah.
it's something that because you've got electricity, but you can't, the problem with electricity, you can't charge vehicles quickly enough. And yes, you can use biofuels for diesel, but there are still environmental issues with that. Hydrogen is something which that we're seeing at the moment, but it's very expensive to do, but it's something that could be moved. I know in this country, in the UK, we're looking to move all the gas heaters over to hydrogen at some point. And a lot of them already ready to do that, the boilers and heating units.
Yeah, I'm based personally in Rotterdam, so hearing also Rotterdam port passing by, I hope that here will be the first ones to take those steps towards a more,
I think they'll be the first one for a market, but it won't be the first one for a derivatives market, which allows then speculators to come in and take the risk off of the other people, because it's still a fairly opaque market. It's between professionals. You need more speculators in there to take the risk away. Because you could suddenly see a move up or a move down, and it could be very, very sharp unless you have that smoothing of a speculator.
Yeah, makes sense. So since we are coming close to the end time, is there maybe any one takeaway point you can give to our audience? Anything, like one thing that
I would say this, and it's again from a different part. It's from the technical analysis side. Include technical analysis in your risk analysis. Include your technical analysts into your risk. I'm part of various committees here which are involved on the risk side of things, and I give an opinion based on technical analysis of what is likely to be a risk function or something that may be happening that may not immediately be obvious to others in the market. And yes, a technical analyst, we don't look for the reason why, we look where it is and where it's going to happen. So we're not looking to why it's happened, we're looking where it's going to be moving to and why it's going to be moving and when it's going to be moving there. Sorry.
And it's for us also very interesting to hear that from a technical analyst point of view, to also hear that, of course, not necessarily only from the risk management perspective, that this kind of things sometimes need to come to a merge rather than always feeling so separated. So
yes.
Then on that sense, I have one last question. Well, you're also, of course, still part of our community, even though not being a risk manager. Do you have perhaps any comments on being a part of our community, or in general being a part of a risk community, or that kind
I
of
love
thing?
being associated with it. I love it because it's a community of professionals who have the way of trying to minimize the risk amongst each other. We're all in this together. At some point, everybody, if you're just sitting there in isolation, yes, you may be right some of the time, but unless you get input from other people, you will not know what's going on. You'll not know where the developments in risk are, whether it's going to be sort of like directional margining, things like that, which are new things that people are talking about. You need to know about those things, and you only know that from other people in your industry.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, I think that's a very nice way to end it on that sense. So since we are coming to end of our time, so thank you so much for again being part of our community, doing this talk with us, joining us today, and I wish you a great day.
And to you.
Thank you.